I used to think patience meant tolerating everything. It doesn't. And once I learned and understood that, a lot of things and people stopped having access to me. If you are constantly drained, confused, or even frustrated, it might be because you're entertaining things that God told you a long time ago to release. Hey guys, it's Alasia, aka the Kingdom Babe, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be getting into the things that I stopped entertaining as a Christian woman. This is a good topic, so let's get into it. In today's times in society, it seems like more and more Christians are fighting with the spirit of compromise always. A lot of times we open a lot of doorways and access to us that isn't necessarily needed, and it drains us and it weakens us, and it makes these kind of battles all the more harder. I'm gonna jump right into the things that I stopped entertaining because this might help you in your walk. I simplified it into a few categories. The first one being, I stopped saying yes to everything. This is like under that people pleasing thing. Yeah, that was my downfall sometimes. And a lot of times we like to see the approval of people, whether it's through their words or their expression on their face when you say, yeah, of course, I got you. Yeah, sure, whatever. It's no biggie, like, you know. And we like to have that approval, whether we're seeking it or not. We don't want to be the ones to be the bearer of bad news, right? So a lot of times this is where we start to compromise the most, because oftentimes we're saying yes to things that we shouldn't be saying yes to. And that gets us in a lot of trouble. Saying yes and being a people pleaser was kind of hard because a lot of things I was saying yes to, God was saying never, not at all. It's completely detestable. So I had to stop entertaining the idea that I was always going to do whatever anybody asked me because I'm me. You get kind of big-headed and start feeling like, oh, I got to be Superman to everybody, but you don't. And that is one of the first things that had to go, because people pleasing and saying yes to everything got me in a lot of trouble sometimes. Even if I had good intentions and I just wanted to help, you have to really decipher what you're saying yes to and test it against the word of God and see if that's something that Jesus would want you to say yes to. Because if it ain't, gotta go. The second thing I stopped entertaining as a Christian woman is the whole horoscope, superstition, you know what I'm saying, that area of life that just makes everything seem like you need to have some kind of affirmation to make your day go a certain way. Yeah, I don't entertain that. A lot of people will innocently say, hey, I'm a Taurus or I'm a Scorpio. And I could easily say, oh, I'm a Virgo, you know, like, hey, I know that's my sign, that's my whatever. But at the end of the day, there's more to these horoscopes than we know. And oftentimes a lot of people try to downplay it and make it just seem as if it's just a horoscope. You're so Christian, you're so churchy, but I'm gonna be real with you. If a Muslim doesn't do certain things and a vegetarian doesn't eat certain things, why does a Christian have to often lower their standard to be accepted? You know what I mean? So when people say things about horoscopes, I don't just cut them off and act like all crazy and stuff. Like, no, I can't have that around my eardrums. But like literally when people ask me, yeah, what's your horoscope? What's this and that? I'm like, yeah, I know what it is, but I don't get into that. Yeah, I'm okay. I don't want that in my life. And I can do that in a very kind, simple way. It says, this is not something I talk about, while not being rude. I'm going to be honest, you're still going to get some pushback from having standards, especially when it comes time to things like this and those worldly things that people take, you know, entertainment in. But the more you entertain things and say, oh yeah, I'm doing this, even if you don't practice that behind closed doors, even if it's not a practice or a routine in your life, the more you start to act as if, hey, yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, I'm also blah, blah, blah. Then a lot of people are going to start to come back to you with, here's your daily horoscope. And your horoscope said you should do this. And so did you do whatever? Did you see the horoscope I sent you? And then it's like, yeah, now you're in a weird position having to explain why you don't do horoscopes. And yeah, it's just better if you get that out the way in the beginning. The third thing I stopped entertaining as a Christian woman is the whole idea of this super boss babe, independent babe, like the ultra feminine, like we hate men, women run the world energy. I'm proud to be a woman. I wouldn't want to be anything else. Even with how hard being a girl is, it's crazy. A lot of times women start getting involved with men a certain way because they think they found this power, right? And they're taking their power back. And I'm like, girl, I'm all for we got power in the name of Jesus. We got power. God gives us his power. We are strong individuals. I'm never denying the strength of a woman. I'm never, bringing down or downgrading the strength of being feminine even. But if it means that we have to talk badly about our counterparts, or that we have to talk badly about men in general, then I don't want to be a part of that group. Because being a strong woman does not mean degrading a man. It's really not about that. And I don't like the idea that, oh, well, this man has done this to me in my life, so I hate all of them. That's trauma, and it's unhealed trauma, and you need to work on yourself. You shouldn't proudly boast that you don't trust men and you hate them because of something a man has done to you. Not taking away the pain of your experience, but also not catering to the ignorance that is being blinded by your pain. You know what I mean? I know this is a touchy subject because a lot of women are like, oh, I'm independent. Me too. If I needed to be independent, I could. But I love having my husband around. I'm glad that I have my husband around. I don't know what my life would look like right now without my husband, honestly. And so he's such an encouragement to me. And because I have allowed God to lead me in that area, I found a good man. I've been found by a good man, or whatever way you want to see it. So I thank God for the idea that there is man and woman. Even if we get on each other's nerves, I really don't care to be the woman that is constantly spewing this pain and trauma and experience of whatever past activity on everybody every time I meet them. I also don't entertain those conversations. I don't entertain being around those women constantly. Misery likes company, and bad company corrupts good morals. So you don't want to be a part of that group. I don't want to be a part of that group. And there's nothing fruitful or beneficial about being in that group. So that's just the third thing I was like, yeah, this is going to have to come off my list. The fourth thing that I stopped entertaining, which kind of piggybacks off of the third thing, is the whole idea of hookup culture. Yeah, I never was a part of it. And I'm not going to lie, that kind of ticked off some of the guys I dealt with in the past. I got called a tease. And I'm like, nah, I believe I told you in, the beginning from jump that I wasn't going to do that. But you thought you were going to manipulate me and get me to do it because I seem naive because I'm a Christian. And a lot of times hookup culture is nothing fruitful either. There's a lot of people just looking for one thing, and they will do whatever they can to get it. And once they get it, they're often gone. Or they're leeching off of your energy, your spirit for years and draining you and putting you into the category number 3, bitter woman. So I'm telling you, this is not something that I entertain at all. I never really did entertain it, but I found myself trying to compromise because I was like, I'm going to be single forever if I keep my standards this high. Okay. And you know what? I'm glad my standards stayed high and went higher, if that makes sense, because me compromising my standards to get a man is the worst thing I could have done for myself. And I'm glad that I kept myself the way I was. And then when I was in the spirit of God and in his presence a lot, that it helped me to stabilize those standards and not let them move for anyone. Trusting that God would bring me the man I was praying for without trying to infiltrate and interfere with God's work myself. A lot of times hookup culture can get us in that trouble that we are finding hard to get out of. There's a lot of soul ties involved in that. There's a lot of people getting their feelings hurt, a lot of people getting physically hurt. We don't want that. That's always traumatizing. So I am glad that I stepped out of that and stopped putting that pressure on myself to show up as that, because that's not who I am. That's not who God has called me to be. I was called to be a wife, not the next one in line. Once I knew my worth, I knew I was worth being in a relationship with a man who was going to honor me and my standards. And to God be the glory, that's exactly what I got. So just let you know, if you just listen to God and trust in him, you get your man that you don't have to lower your standards for. I promise, girl. Hookup culture is bad, and it's so popular in society that if you are against it, it's almost like ill to you, because why? Everybody else is doing it. Most times that's why you shouldn't be. And the last thing I stopped doing or entertaining as a Christian woman is gossip. This is a hard one because gossip can show up in many forms. Gossip can come to you in a way that you don't even know you're getting yourself involved until everything hits the fan. And it's just like, I was just a listening ear. I don't know how I'm getting targeted now, but Can you take the target off my back, please? I can't. This is so tricky because we find a lot of this from venting our feelings, expressing ourselves. We find it innocent because we are taught that if we keep all of our feelings bottled up and all of our problems to ourselves, that we're going to become this monster, we're going to become explosive, and that is very true. But the way the enemy likes to distort this truth and make us feel as though now it needs to become a bashing session on one or two or more individuals, is where we get it messed up and where we get it twisted, because that is not the case. A lot of times we are trying to just, like I said, have innocent intentions and be like, I need someone to talk to. I need someone to vent to. I have a lot on my chest right now. My heart is heavy. And it becomes a routinely, so did you hear the latest? So did you hear this? So did so-and-so tell you that? Did you see what so-and-so was wearing? Did you see what they said on Instagram? Did you see their story? Did they put you in their close friends list? Like, there's a whole lot that comes from a simple, I need someone to hear me out. And it turns into a, we don't talk to them anymore, clique kind of energy, mean girls, bad girls club kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? So we get ourselves intertwined in this gossiping spirit. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with us. I could see if you had something going on with you, or the person you were talking to was telling you their personal experience, their personal story. That's different. But a lot of times it starts off as that and it goes completely left. And then we're talking about the way someone smells, the way someone dresses, why someone's husband doesn't stay with them, how easy you can take your girl's man because he's already cheating on her. Like, it just gets messy, and it's so bad because as Christians, we're not called to be like that. We're not supposed to have that, and we're not supposed to appear as people that entertain that regardless. As a Christian woman, I can't be praying and singing praises to God with the same mouth that I'm doing saying curses and speaking down or bad about somebody. That doesn't make sense. And I'm not talking about standing your ground and letting people know what it is, because sometimes you got to get with people. Sometimes you have to tell people about themselves, and it's not always the most pleasant conversation. So I'm not saying that you should just always be sweet and polite and delightful, but you know, use your words wisely. Think about what you're saying before you say it. Do not get caught up in something that has nothing to do with you. Yeah, I feel like I touched on all of my main things that I don't do anymore as a Christian woman. There is a lot that could go into this, but I'm pretty sure that the things I listed today are kind of like easily touchable for everybody, because this is not just something I struggle with. It's something that even other women I know struggle with, and people who don't even profess themselves to be Christians even struggle with. So this is not something that is just for Christian women. But as a Christian woman, I made the decision and choice to separate myself from these kind of things so that I'm not being offensive to God and what God's calling on my life is. I don't want to start blocking my own blessings because I'm trying to be down with the crowd. I want to start blocking what God has for me because, you know, I want to be approved of. I don't want to start being ineffective in carrying out God's will because people want me to carry out their will. That's just not how that works. I feel like this is a topic that we can absolutely go in depth about. If you had any experiences or things that you also stopped entertaining as a Christian woman, leave your experiences and your advice or comments down in the comments below, because it's always good to understand where other people are in life and see where people are coming from as well, and even get a different perspective on things, maybe things that we don't think are compromising our spirit with God and our relationship with God. We might be entertaining and we have no idea. I hope this video helped the person that it needed to, and I hope it reached the ears of the people that it needed to. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like this video and leave a comment down below, especially if this message today resonated with you and where you are with your walk with Christ. And also subscribe to this channel for future videos and inspiration and advice for all my Christian sisters out there. We're walking forward, not backwards, sweetie. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this one, and until next time, peace.